In the 1930s, scientists at Cornell University noticed that the lifespans of mice could be doubled if their calorie intake was severely limited, while strategic nutrients like vitamins, proteins, and fats were maintained at required levels. In the 1980s, studies at UCLA confirmed the findings, and it is today generally believed that calorie restriction reduces age-related diseases, lengthens lifespans, and promotes vitality in a number of animal species. Exactly how the reduced calorie diets affect human beings is undecided, but it does appear that certain age-related diseases in humans, such as atherosclerosis and cancer, are decisively mitigated by calorie restriction. The idea makes very good sense in a hygienic way. Putting unusable, mismatched, and excessive substance into any mechanical system can only overload and impede that system's function. It can only produce sludge, and sludge has negative function value in almost any system. Ideally, a well-tuned mechanical system is supplied only with the substances it requires to function cleanly and optimally, and with nothing more. The idea is something akin to changing every 3,000 miles the oil that lubricates a gasoline engine. Change the oil regularly, and the engine, like the one in my 1995 Nissan pickup truck, will run for 500,000 miles. Now, there is a new chemical entity on the market available by medical prescription that can be used quite straightforwardly to reduce calorie intake. The drug is trade-named Belviq, and it is currently indicated for people with high body mass indices. But an MD with an interest in calorie restriction can probably write you a prescription. Belviq works by stimulating a system in the brain that signals satiety, well-being, and in some mysterious way, the quality or value of available foods. Take a little Belviq in the afternoon, and it is easy, should you wish to forego food for the rest of the day. The result can be an effortless daily fast of 16 or more hours. Whether the stress of such fasting is optimal in any individual case is a matter of experimentation and self-knowledge, but it seems clear that there is something profoundly healthy for almost everybody in cutting down the quantity of superfluous food intake, in experiencing extended periods with zero food intake, and in being selective about the value of the foods one chooses. Belviq can really help with those behaviors. Now, what are the mechanisms that construct the body and the mind to run better on fewer and better selected nutrients? It would appear that the energy in the body is a tide or current of free electrons that can be derived either from carbohydrates or from fats, and that are sucked through the body by the chemical power of molecular oxygen, abundant in the planet's atmosphere. Planetary oxygen is the great driver of terrestrial experience and consciousness. Today, it is believed that a class of enzymes called SIR2, which depend on oxygen-driven electron tides inside cells, make fundamental molecular decisions, fundamental ontological decisions about gene expression, immune reactions, cell elimination, energy efficiency, alertness, the expression of age, and thus about the existential stance or experience of the organism. it is thought that calorie liberation and calorie restriction turn these enzymes off and on. The form of the body is thus mechanically and programmatically altered in response to how electrostatic energy flows inside it. The body is a malleable outcropping, or set of outcroppings, down which floods and rivers of electrons flow to a final terminus in the sea of oxygen. Oxygen is the terminus of all of the oxidation reduction or electron reactions in the body. The oxygen-oriented energy body is an ever-shifting landscape of mountains and rivers without end. Its flows are schematic patterns constituted by freely moving molecular enzymes, by proteins embedded in membranes, by organelles and cells awash in electrostatic potentials and discharges, by muscular attitudes and adhesions, by rhythmic patterns in the spinal cord and blood vessels, by vivid sensations in the terminal areas, by reflex circuits in the enteric nerves, by subtle piezoelectric currents in the ligamental fibers and the periosteum, and by convulsions of pleasure in the cardiac muscle so intense that they are systematically suppressed and forgotten by ordinary consciousness, to name a few of them. Those electron flows reach other, more transcendental termini in expressions of the personality through actions, in mood and attitude variations, in linguistic and conceptual meanings, in conversation and confrontation with other people, and in the final gesture, whatever that may be, actually, of death itself. The point here is that these electron tides, these energy fluxes with which we are in our individual humanity and in our individual ways, for better or worse, each intimately familiar, can be subordinated to intelligence of an algorithmic sort, and that because of algorithmic science and rationality and their preeminent roles in society, they will be more and more thus subordinated, and that calorie restriction, intelligently applied, is probably one fundamental such algorithm. Self-conscious social interaction and conversation, undoubtedly, is another algorithm that will, in the future, likewise be applied to these electron tides.